Have you ever noticed how exhausted people, they always have the best intentions at night? They sit there thinking of all the things they're going to fix tomorrow. That workout, that routine, the budget, or their sleep schedule, and they genuinely want to change their life, and then tomorrow comes. And somehow, they end up stuck in the same exact cycle again, and after a while, people start calling themselves lazy. But honestly, I don't think that laziness is the problem anymore. I think the problem is that people are mentally drowning in a life that's too reactive for too long. Most people think that they have a discipline problem. They think they need more motivation, more willpower, or better habits. But honestly, most overwhelmed people, they're just mentally exhausted long before the night even begins. They wake up and they're already tired. They grab their phone immediately. They rush through their mornings. They forget to do things that they were supposed to do. They spend their whole entire day just reacting. They have work problems, notifications, they have bills to pay, family responsibilities, and random interruptions. They're constantly mental switching all day long, and after a while, your brain, it never gets to fully settle down. Your brain, it just stays in survival mode. I remember a day, I was just sitting in my car after work. I knew that I needed to edit some videos. The house still needed to be cleaned. I still hadn't worked out yet, and I was working on getting my life together. And I just sat there staring at my phone because my brain, it just felt completely cooked. And the scariest part was that I genuinely believed that I was becoming lazy. But looking back, I wasn't lazy. My life, it just had no structure because everything was just reaction. And when somebody spends their whole day mentally reacting, eventually their brain stops looking for progress and starts looking for relief. That's why people can scroll on their phone for hours while stressing about all the things they know they should be doing, in the same way that people can talk about going to the gym while feeling incapable of even starting. It's why overwhelmed people can ignore even cleaning the house, ignore their responsibilities, and eventually they mentally check out for the night. Their brain, it isn't trying to ruin their future, it's just trying to recover from constant mental overload. And if you've been feeling stuck like this lately, then hit that subscribe button, because this channel is really for the people that are mentally exhausted from carrying life all the time. And they're tired of feeling like they're falling behind in their own potential. And I know what that feels like personally. And a big part of this channel is learning how to stop living in survival mode and start building your life with intention again. And honestly, I think this is where the problem starts to get dangerous. Because after enough nights like that, people, they stop trusting themselves, because every night becomes, tomorrow I'll start, tomorrow I'll fix it, tomorrow I'll get disciplined, but then tomorrow comes. And the same cycle, it repeats again. So eventually, you stop believing your own promises. You stop fully committing to your goals because part of you already expects yourself to quit. And after a while, chaos starts feeling normal. Feeling behind starts feeling normal. Feeling mentally scattered starts to feel normal. Constantly feeling like you're catching up feels normal. That's why so many people, they end up trapped in this permanent state of survival mode. They're always reacting, always recovering. They're always trying to restart their life every Monday, but because there's no structure underneath everything, they're always repeating the same cycle. And I honestly think this is why so many people secretly feel ashamed of themselves, because deep down, they know they're capable of more, but they have to keep watching themselves repeat these patterns that they said they were done with. So eventually, they stop seeing themselves as just overwhelmed and start seeing themselves as lazy or weak or incapable of changing. When really, they've been stuck in reaction mode for so long, they've forgotten what living intentional even feels like. And this is why I think structure matters more than motivation ever will. Because motivation, it becomes unreliable when your brain is constantly overloaded all day. But structure, it doesn't rely on how you feel in that moment. Because structure, it protects your mental energy. The more reactive your life becomes, the more exhausted your brain becomes. Which means that every important decision that you make starts to feel heavier than it should. And most people, they don't realize how much energy they lose just from constant decision making alone. What time should I wake up? What should I eat? Should I work out tonight? Or should I just start tomorrow instead? Reactive living, it forces your brain to constantly be problem solving all day long, and eventually it creates mental exhaustion. But structure, it reduces the friction. It removes those unnecessary decisions. That's why simple things matter more than most people realize. Waking up at the same time every day, preparing for tomorrow the night before. Having a basic plan for your evening, like reducing notifications, cleaning your environment, having a routine that becomes automatic instead of those emotional decisions. Not because a routine will just magically fix your life, but because structure will create stability. And stability, it gives your brain room to breathe again. And I honestly think This is where a lot of overwhelmed people tend to struggle with. They keep trying to completely reinvent their life overnight. New goals, new routines, a new mindset, or a new personality. But overloaded brains, they usually don't need a complete overhaul of your life. They just need less chaos, less reaction, less mental noise, because structure will slowly build that trust between your current self and your future self. Every small routine that you actually follow through on, it sends your brain a new message that I actually do follow through. And over time, that changes the way that you see yourself completely. But not because you became a different person overnight, but because your life stopped draining all your mental energy before you even had a chance to grow. Because at the end of the day, this was never about laziness. So no, you're probably not lazy. Your brain was just stuck in survival mode for too long. You were spending every day reacting, rushing, catching up. You were mentally overloaded before the night even started, and then you were blaming yourself for not having energy to finally change your life afterward. That's why so many people keep saying that I'll start tomorrow, because deep down, they know that the exhausted version of themselves barely has anything left to give for the day. And that's why structure matters, not because it makes you perfect, but because it gives your brain just enough stability to stop living in survival and start living intentional again.